write, market, money, mission. Write that down. Most people want to write a book, then market it, then hopefully they'll make some money with it, and then they'll meet their mission and they'll feel good about themselves. Okay, so we want to shift this around. Turn it upside down. Mission first.
Welcome to the Magnificent Marketing Podcast, where we interview the top marketing experts in the world and keep you up to date on all the changes and best practices to help you grow your business and stay on the cutting edge. Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Trevor Crane, and Trevor is best known for his two best-selling books, High Paying Clients and Big Money with Your Book. And this is without selling a single copy. For over 15 years, Trevor has been brought in to help small business owners improve their marketing, increase their revenue, and make more sales. Typically, he works with entrepreneurs, consultants, coaches, and speakers who have the challenge of generating consistent leads, elevating their brand, and scaling their business. If you want to become irresistible to your ideal target client and massively grow your lead sales and revenue, Trevor can help you craft a book that becomes your most powerful marketing tool in 90 days or less. And today, we are going to talk about how to publish and make money on producing a book. Trevor, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm on fire. I've been looking forward to this. Let's have some fun, and if people are listening right now, get ready to take some notes, because I struggled to publish my first book for 20 frickin' years, and I finally cracked the code, and I am excited because it's my mission to help people tell their story, and looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Well, I just to kind of get going, it sounds like you're going to have some passion behind this answer, but before we get into your advice and takeaways of how to structuring for writing it and marketing it and making money on it and all that good stuff, I want you to touch on the reasons why you think this should be something people should strongly consider, and the benefits that you've seen people gain by writing a book.
Benefits. So let's see. My initial response to that, brother, is more not about a benefit. I mean, I'm going to answer that. So, I'll answer it quick. I 10x my income when I first cracked this code. So if anybody listening right now, if you want to create more revenue and you think your message and your story makes a difference and can change someone's life, or you want to, then just whatever the amount of money is you made last year, add a zero to it. If you like that, that's what 10x actually means. I mean, and I might challenge you to write it down, because when that actually happens for you, it blows your frickin' mind. For 15 years, I've been a consultant that helps people make more money and in their business. That's what they asked me to come in and do as a business consultant. And when I learned this strategy, and I didn't figure it out myself, like I shared, I struggled for 20 years to figure out how to get my book actually out and done. And I had a variety of different things I thought would be cool to share in that time frame. But that's a tangible result, and I've helped a lot of our clients create similar results. Now, here's my gut response to you about the why this is so important. Just recently, a friend of mine passed away.
I'm sorry.
And he did so in a pretty horrific, awful way. One of the most horrible ways you can, in some regards, is he took his own life. And here's the thing. He came to me originally. We were friends in a similar mentoring group and marketing group, mastermind group that we're in together. And he told me that he wanted to tell a story and he wanted to turn it into a book, and he had reasons why. He knew there were people that needed to get his message of how he'd gone through the fires of hell and come out on the other side. And he has left a wife behind and family behind and clients behind who needed him. What he did not tell me was that he was currently going through some of those challenges now. And when he started on the journey of writing his book, he didn't finish. He left that undone. And I would say that you're running out of time. And I'm not saying that the people listening right now are suicidal. I freaking hope you're not. But my point is that there are people out there who need your help, and they're masquerading in disguise. This guy was a happy, smiling guy from all that I knew of him. My challenge to you is that your message and your story does matter. One of the worst things I went through personally was when I filed a bankruptcy. And it wasn't a small little bankruptcy. For me, it was huge. It was over $2 million. And I had thought that after that, when I was going through the pain, I didn't ever want to tell anybody that. I felt very embarrassed. And I now get to use it as a powerful story that helps change people's lives, because now I can share that scarcity, that vulnerable story of how it felt to have lost everything, including the woman that I was in love with at the time, including she took away my daughter at the time, 2-year-old daughter, and left the state and left me holding nothing. But having gone through that and then having that as this powerful story that I had the opportunity to now tell, it ended up saving the life of one of my clients. A year later, after my bankruptcy, I was building things back, and I had a new client who was an ex-nun, who was also a very happy person. She told me she was considering suicide because of the financial difficulties she was going through, and because I was able to meet her with my story, and I shared with her where I'd been, and her debt was only, I think, $40,000 at the time. But for her, it was the world. And that she had taken on this identity that she thought there was no other escape than to take the final escape. So here's the thing, is that I think that everybody should figure out the message, your message, and share it with the world. And the world is counting on you. And there's people out there who need it, or they will stay stuck and they will stay in suffering if you can't figure out how to tell your story. A very cool way of doing it is to go ahead and make a monetary difference on the back end of it too. I like doing that, and that's what I now help people do with my publishing company. But does that answer your question?
And then some. That was wonderful. That was beautiful. I appreciate that. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Yeah, I mean, and as far as, you kind of just threw in the back in there, make money. Well, what I've learned here recently is money is just a monetary form of the value you put out there in the world. And if you're putting out this massive value and you're saving lives literally, which is very possible. I mean, you did it. And again, maybe some of these books won't necessarily save a life if it's like a marketing book or this or that, but potentially could make somebody's life better and happier, and then that could filter to somebody, and that could filter to somebody, and that could filter to somebody, and then maybe some big things like that are happening unbeknownst to you. So definitely break down any sort of guilt or shame about making money by doing good for the world, because that's how the world's supposed to work. So yeah, that was beautiful, Trevor. Appreciate that. Yeah, so you kind of threw me for a loop there. I didn't realize I was going to hear that. That was just beautiful. So I hate having to move on from something like that to tactical execution, but we need to know how to do this. We're not going to talk about your passion and what you're going to be. That's all up to you. But we're here to hopefully, Trevor to help us all set a structure for how to bring that out of you. So I believe that would, start with writing the book, right? Go, help walk somebody through. Somebody might have a passion and a lot to say, and help them structure that.
All right, so I'm going to answer. I teach this all the time. I have a training called Blank Page to Bestseller in 90 days or less. I have that. If people go to epicauthor.com, you can check out that training any day. So that will help people. There's so many resources I have. I've published books on this to help people figure out how to tell a great story really fast. I can give away more gifts to your audience today to make sure that they're served. But everybody, I want you to get something now that you can take away and use starting now. And I guess that first answer to your first question today is that you must tell your story. And you have to find the context with which it makes sense. So here's the thing, is oftentimes the place that you need to start is where you're most scared, is where you've got this greatest challenge or this biggest vulnerability or this skeleton that's been in your closet that you didn't want to tell anybody about, that this is potentially the place where there is more power than you know, is in this dark place that you're scared to share. And here's the thing, is that I'm challenging everybody right now to potentially reconsider your business, your brand, how you communicate with the world, that your most powerful communication can be authenticity, integrity, and vulnerability is the new currency today. It is what captures people's minds and hearts and attention and gets them to like you and trust you. And if they know you and they like you, they just might buy from you or your stuff or whatever it is that you believe in. And your challenge is figuring out what it is that you want and why. So hopefully you're in business. If somebody's listening right now and you have a business or you have a vision, then you might have an idea of your audience and who you want to go help. But here's the thing, the crazy thing when I talk to people about their books, and I did the same thing. I told you I failed to write my book for 20 frickin' years. It's not that I didn't take action. I wasn't masturbating for 20 years. Okay, hold on. Maybe I was, but I enjoyed that. But I wasn't writing my book. I was deluding myself that all of my energy and activity was going to bear fruit. But instead, it was just a wet mess. I'm really bringing that masturbation thing here. But here's the thing. Most people get inspired. They're like, man, he's right. She's right. I've heard this before. I should launch my podcast. I should start that YouTube video. That's it. I should write my book. I should write. And here's what most people think. That you should write your book, and they're like, okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll write my book. And it's like this deluded, crazy person that's in their backyard that gets all fired up, and they're like, man, that mansion's beautiful. I want to build a mansion like that one day. Wouldn't that be amazing? And so they go in their backyard, and they start nailing 2x4s together, and they're bragging to their neighbors and their friends, and they're like, I'm building my dream house. And they're looking at you confused, and you might be getting a sunburn while it's happening. That's what you might be building. You might be building a birdhouse in your backyard or a doghouse or poor tree fort. But I'm guessing that there's not a person listening right now that's going to go into your backyard nailing anything together that's going to end up in your dream house. It's not the foundation. It's not the roof. It's not the backsplash that's going to be amazing in your kitchen. It's none of that. And typically people start writing a book and they think, if I build it, they will come. But Kevin Costner was a liar, man. If you build it and they will come is only in the Field of Dreams. That was a movie. That is not the case. If you build it, they will not come unless you learn how to market the hell out of it. If you learn how to sell the vision and the mission first, if you get clarity around the blueprint before you begin masturbating into a stock. I don't know why we brought that. I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody right now to bring that up again. But here's the thing. Most people delude themselves and they tell me they've been working on the manuscript for the last year or 20 years and I need to write my book. And they think if I write my book, then it'll be done. It'll be amazing. It'll be perfect. It'll be beautiful. And it'll tell my message to the world and I can change the world and it'll save lives. And they work on it feverishly. And then they're like, okay. And then they get it and they have their masterpiece. However many lengths of years they've worked on this masterpiece, and now they have a new problem. And they're like, oh, maybe I should market it to somebody so that people know about it. I need to start telling them about my book. And then they start marketing it. It's like, oh, if I just do some good marketing, you know what it needs to be? It needs to be a #1 bestseller. Let me do some searching on the Google or go to the YouTube and do this search and find out how do you make a best-selling book. And now they're focused on marketing. This thing that they created in a vacuum, like their Ernest Hemingway, and took a 6-month sabbatical getting their amazing book done. And it may be that their message missed the market a little bit because they wrote it in a vacuum in their backyard, talking to themselves, deluding themselves that they're building their masterpiece. And now they have difficulty marketing it. And even if they crack that code, then they go ahead and say, at what stage am I going to start getting something out of this? You know, now a few people have liked this book, or maybe 100 people, or maybe 1,000 people. The average person that publishes a book sells less than 250 copies a year and less than 3,000 in its lifetime. I have hundreds of people come to me every year. They say, Trevor, I've got a book. It's a bestseller. Oh, my God, it's amazing. And I don't know what the hell to do with it. Like, nobody's buying my stuff. No, it's not positioned to my brand. Nobody just, when I built it, that damn Kevin Costner, man, why did I ever watch that movie? Great movie, by the way. I love The Field of Dreams. But the problem is people get it confused. They think they'll make money and then they'll feel good and it'll make them meet their mission. And instead they're pissed off about this book or they're embarrassed by their book. I have people come to me who hear my presentations and they'll be like, well, I have, they'll put their hand over their mouth. And they'll be like, I hate to admit it, but I have 6 books. I'm like, what the? They have 6 books they're embarrassed by, that they don't know how to sell and market what their mission is. So I turn the whole thing around. So this is where people begin. Yeah, we're going to talk about how you write your book, and I want to help you with that today. I mean, I focus on this, and I typically get my clients to write their book in less than 30 days. We work on it for 90. In fact, actually, I'll tell you what. Typically, I like to work with my clients for 6 months. But here's the framework I want to give everybody today. Most people will write a book. Write this down. Write the word write, market, money, mission. Write that down. Most people want to write a book, then market it, then hopefully they'll make some money with it, and then they'll meet their mission and they'll feel good about themselves. Okay, so we want to shift this around. Turn it upside down. Mission first. What is your vision and mission for this book? Whose life is it going to change? Get clear about your blueprint, about the result that you want that you're going to be proud of a decade from now. Get clear first. Then we're going to market the hell out. Now we need to figure out a monetization path for you. Because at what stage you're going to stop throwing money down the well? And money is money, energy, resources, time that you're going to throw down. If you can't find a back end to your book, and I will promise you guys there is such a big back end behind your book. The business behind your book is so much bigger. The mission for what you stand for in the world is so much more than what most people will give themselves credit for. So figure out the mission first, the monetization strategy next. If you're like, well, this isn't about money to me, it's about changing lives. Great. Well, then learn how to raise money for your foundation. Because somebody's going to have to pay for some marketing because marketing costs money. Yeah, you can get on Oprah, maybe. You know, most people that get on Oprah get there from a freaking hard work, man. Or Ellen is the new Oprah, right? But you got to go ahead and figure out it takes time, money, energy, and resources to do your marketing. And if you didn't find a monetization path, you're kind of screwed. And then finally, then you write your book. And I know this is confusing, but the thing is I typically help people come up with a strategy in a day, in an hour, in a session. What's your mission? What's a profitable path to monetize the vision that you care about so much? First, figure that out. And that will market the hell out of it in really cool ways that builds a tremendous amount of goodwill and desire from people. Like, think about it. Apple puts out a new iPhone, and they don't say, hey, guys, look, we just finished the iPhone 10. It's so amazing you should come buy it today. No, man, they tease us for a decade. I don't know, for a year. They tease us for months. We know a new phone's coming. It's so much we start to clamor for it and desire it. Like, why don't we model multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar marketing and monetization strategies and build desire for our product, for our book, before we get it done? There's rumor mills and whatnot going on. There's people that stand in line to get it. We need to sell the vision and the mission for what we want first. I took a class by James Patterson, who's one of the world's greatest authors ever. Like, he's written so many doggone books. And he said, get an idea for your book. And before you put pen to paper, sell the vision of it first. Go talk to people. Ideally, talk to people who are going to be your reader for your stuff, and then tell them your idea. And look them in the eyes and see whether or not they like it before you put all your time, money, energy, and resources into writing your damn book. So again, mission first, monetization strategy second, marketing, which is talking to people. That's all marketing is. Marketing can be confusing. You're like, oh, how do I market? Do I do it on Twitter? Do I need to figure out the LinkedIn and the Facebook and all that? Yeah, you could. That's all important. But really, marketing is communication. You and I are doing it now. And figure out that first. And then you'll write this phenomenal book because you're interacting and you're engaging and you're talking to an audience that can't wait for your stuff to come out. And they're like, oh my God. And now you have so much conviction behind your message that it gets done. And believe me, I did it the wet sock way for 20 years. I tried to do it in the dark on my own. I called my mom and said, Mom, can you help me write a book? By the way, that is not the strategy I recommend. I'll get into specific steps here in a little bit, but that's my rant again. I get excited about this because I know your message matters. I know you need to tell the story, but too oftentimes people get deluded that they need to start writing their book. Today, I'll start it. I'll write in my journal. I'm writing my book. No, you're not. Probably. You might be enjoying yourself, but it's not necessarily working on this new dream house. You need a blueprint first. Start with that. And actually, that's step number one, is get strategic first. But let me go back to you because I've just been ranting and raving.
Oh, no, I've been enjoying listening. I love your passion. Yeah, and I think you're driving home an important part. You're really focusing on, the 10,000 foot level here and the why and all that. And that's where, you always need to start. So, I mean, it's good that we did that in the podcast today and you went over that. There's this one thing I would like to get your take on and see, because we're talking, part of this is about, potentially monetization part about it, the monetary, the money part, what you might get out of it. I think probably most of the books written out there aren't to make money on book sales, but there are to establish that authority in an industry, of which then people will buy your other services. And I see this happening all the time. And some people, that's how their entire lead gen is built around, because if you're a published author, I heard this kind of little kitschy kind of funny thing, but the first 6 letters of authority are author. And if you can become the author of something, then people are automatically going to assume that you are really good in your field. If you're even a dentist and you write a book about, something specific in and around that, automatically it's going to put you ahead of other people, and I know marketing companies that have almost completely been driven by that. So what's your take on that? Because that's potentially the bigger play here for the masses here. Not everyone's going to become a best-selling, and I know that there's a lot of money that changes all, everybody, a lot of hands in the pie, be it Amazon or your publisher or whomever, right? And you have to sell a whole hell of a lot of copies to actually make money. But there's another angle to be making money here. I mean, do you see it that way as well?
Well, one of my books is, so I would agree with you. One of my books that I published last year is called Big Money with Your Book Without Selling a Single Copy. You read that when you introduced me, so that is exactly my point. Big money with your book without selling a single copy. It is the stuff you sell beyond it. I mean, I don't know this for a fact because I haven't talked to J.K. Rowling, but she wrote all the Harry Potter books. I'll bet you $1 right now, brother, she makes more money selling butterbeer at Disneyland than she does selling books. More from her movies, more from her merchandising, more from everything else beyond it. My daughter, there's a book called Elf on the Shelf. I don't know what it costs. It costs $20 or $30, but I know I have 3 Elf on the Shelf elves. Like it's a $12 million company behind this kid's book. And it's because of all the extra merchandising. I also own the frickin' reindeer that she can pet when the elf goes back to the North Pole. Like, so yes, figuring out the monetization plan are the products and services beyond your book that serve people. Tony Robbins. Amazing guy. Most people know of Tony Robbins. If you don't, you should look him up and just do 2 seconds on Google and you'll figure that one out. But you probably do know Tony Robbins, and he hasn't published a book for a long time. In the last couple of years, he published 2 books 2 years in a row, or a book each year, one year after the other. Why? Because it's one of the most powerful marketing tools you can use, and Tone made so much money with those books, not from selling his book. So check it out. I have bought Tony's 2 new books. One is called Unshakable and one is called Money Master the Game. Now, I'd love to tell you, I'm a publisher now and I help people write their books and figure this stuff out. And I'd love to tell you that I read those books. Oh, yeah, I read every word. I am such the best student Tony Robbins has ever seen. No, man, I didn't. I'm proud to have them on my bookshelf. I can look over at them and see them. They're like a banner on my book, like a broadcasting banner. But what I did is I bought them. I skimmed them. I did go then drop $5,000. What did a book cost me? $20? And then another $10 for shipping because these things were like as thick as an encyclopedia. But then I did go drop $5,000 of my money to go myself and my wife and a client and someone who works for us and took them to an event that Tony put on. And then I have personally dropped my wife and I, close to $250,000 in different products and services and programs and events that we've invested with Tony Robbins over the years. You tell me, is he making money from the book that I haven't read, or is he making money from all that other stuff? So I think it speaks for itself. And what I did in my book, Big Money with Your Book, everybody can get a free copy of that, by the way. If you go to trevorcrane.com/big money, I'll give you a free book. Maybe you'll put a link on the podcast here, so podcast notes so they can get it. But I'll send you the book for free. I paid for the printing. You pay for shipping. But I'll send you that book for free. And in there, I didn't just tell my story about how I did this, because nobody wants to hear about me. But I interviewed people that you've never heard of before. They're making phenomenal money with their book. One of my favorite ones is this guy named Ben Wilson, and I interview him in the book, and he has a hot dog cart business. His book is called Hot Dogs Saved My Life. You believe it. I think it's amazing. And in the book bonuses on this, I recorded my interview with Ben. He's hilarious, and you guys can listen to that in the book bonuses after you get that book. But Ben basically was able to get out of bankruptcy. He was living out of a trailer, and he figured out how hot dogs and starting a little hot dog cart could save his career, his life, his family. And then now he published a book by it. He made $53,000 in 45 days with his book, Hot Dogs Saved My Life. So if a hot dog guy can do it, maybe you can do it too. Now, you do need the profitable path to monetize your vision. That's my expertise. That's where I work with people, and you got to reach out to me, and I'll hook you up, and I'll help you where you get my books, and you can go ahead and look a lot into that. But let's get down to some of the nitty-gritty that people can use right now that will help them today with some of this. So to ask me the questions you want to ask so we can give people something more tangible than just hyperbole.
Okay, sure. Well, I think you got everybody in the mindset before you start to write the book, right? And in doing my research on you and on this topic, you did kind of, I guess you've assumed people went through the mission, money, monetization, market, and writing process as far as them thinking it through. But
no. I don't assume that. Dude, rarely people will do that. And here's the thing on that. I don't want people to feel bad about it. That never stops. Like that you're never going to stop reconsidering your mission, your vision, and improving your monetization strategy, and improving your marketing, and improving your content that you put out there, whether it's this book or another. It's a never-ending, ongoing process, or your vision dies because it's not going to meet the market anymore if you're not paying attention. What Toys R Us and Babies R Us are going out of business right now. Circuit City went out of business. Like, Betamax isn't around anymore. You got to keep changing. So it's not like people keep thinking this was one of my delusions is that I thought when I listened to stuff like this that I had to figure it all out and then I could get started. No. You jump off the cliff first, and then you figure out what you're going to construct on the way down. So I would challenge everybody today that step one is make the declaration to other humans that you're going to get your book done. That, I think, is the biggest step. So decide. If people got in the right mindset, great, I understand I need the blueprint first. Here is step one, jump. Make the declaration. Call your mom and tell her you're excited about a new book. You say you just got off a conversation with a publisher. I'm a publisher and I want to help you publish your book. I know your message matters. So if you're listening right now, I want to help you publish your book. I know your message matters. You may not be a writer. You may not know how to tell the story. You may not have the profitable path to take you to the next level. Why on earth would anybody think that they've already got that figured out? It's never there. We may have figured out a profitable path that got us here, but very few people that I ever meet, dude, just want to keep in the status quo. You're either growing or dying. And however you're going to get to that next level, you need new resources, man. You need new help. You need new actions. You need new activity. You need to build new muscle at the gym. You go back to the gym again. You go find another mentor. You go get more coaching. You get more help and more support. And it never ends. And you're going to keep asking the question of how can I better serve and how can I better help? And you keep asking, and it'll be another question you ask tomorrow and the next day and next year. And the truth is you just need to get help. But step number one is, yes, decide that your message does matter and make the declaration, and now you're hooked. Now you're screwed because you just told people you're going to publish a book. Now you got to figure it out. Let's construct it on the way down, and I can help you do that today so that we're not leaving people hanging. So go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you, brother, but I wanted to...
No, but you take, yeah, so writing the book, okay? You made the declaration. I believe and like I said, and when I was looking into everything, you had a few like 7-step processes for writing the book and then marketing your book. Why don't we we don't need to dig in deep here, but if we can get people in the right mindset and if it sounds good, then they can follow up with you at epicarthur.com and dig into it deeper. But let's go ahead and give some people a little bit of structure. We've gone big picture with it, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's absolutely where you need to start in pretty much everything in life. But walk us through, once you've made that declaration, give some people a little bit of, kind of guidance here, if you will.
So let's do this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm looking at some notes that I made when we started this. Now, I teach this program all the time, so I'm just going to try to whittle this down to something that everybody can take action with today. So I gave everybody an action step so far, and that is, it's really simple, potentially a scary one for you, but post on social media right now, call somebody up, send a text message, and say you're excited you're publishing your book. That's step number one. It's not actually in my little doctrine of training that I have, but it is the first. And when I do an interview like this, I want you to have something that will hang you, man. And then you've now said you're going to publish your book. You don't have to give a deadline, but if you do this, you're actually modeling billion-dollar companies. They say, hey, they make an announcement that something is coming. Elon Musk did it. He goes, hey, we're going to have a new cheap car that's going to be electric and everybody can afford it. And if you guys want it, you can, and he made the declaration. That was step one. He then did another one as he found he had a monetization strategy. He said, give me $1,000 as a deposit. And inside of 60 days, he closed almost 500,000 people gave him $1,000. So you're doing an intelligent billion-dollar strategy here if you make the declaration that it's coming. Your book is coming. You're going to get one done. You're not even sure what it's about yet, but that's okay. Okay, so that's really the thing. Now, let me give you the 7 steps for getting this book done quickly. And I'll give those to you really quickly. These all start with the letter S. I'm going to give you the first 3, so you can jot them down. Strategy, structure, story. Most people begin with their story, and they get this wrong. So we don't want to do that. I already gave you the step 1 was strategy. Get clear that you have a strategy behind your book, that this book is for somebody in particular. That what does that mean? We talked about the vision and the mission beyond your book. So have something to sell. If you get my book, Big Money, with your book without selling a single copy, you'll hear about what people sell beyond their books. But I'll give you guys some of the cool stuff now. Sell a course, sell coaching, sell consulting, sell a product or service beyond your book that costs more than the book. Sell it for $100 or $1,000 or, one of my first book is called High Paying Clients, which is where you sell anything over $1,000 or more. And typically people who really want massive transformation, it's going to cost them something. If you only sell something for $19, which is probably about as much as you're going to get for a book, it's just people know that if you spend $19 on something, imagine a $19 car. It kind of sucks, so you got to have a higher ticket option that creates a massive transformational value for people. And there is money behind that. And you can sell that tomorrow. You can offer a coaching program for $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 or a mentoring program or something, which is a core thing that you can offer. So something, a course, coaching, consulting, a mentoring program, something like that are some of the first things that I suggest. That's your strategic plan, that you want to help people more. I gave you the story about Tony Robbins. I have his books, but what changed my life was showing up at one of his events, and he charged $1,000 for that, or whatever the cost is of his different events that he has. So strategy first. Get clear that there needs to be more behind your book. I'm going to give one more little story about this here. Al Gore did an amazing presentation about, I think it's called An Inconvenient Truth. And I didn't watch this when it had first come out, but I ended up getting a DVD from the library or something. And I was watching Al Gore give this presentation about an inconvenient truth, which is global warming. And what happened was he sold me, man. I was watching his video. I was listening to his message or his story, or imagine this being your book, right? And I'm paying attention, and he had me hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, oh, my God, the ice caps are melting. I'm like, this Al Gore knows what he's talking about. I feel really bad. We got to stop doing this. I got to save the planet. And I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, really enthralled. I was surprised because I more was just kind of curious, vaguely curious about it. But I was all fired up. And then at the end of his presentation, he goes, this is really, we are melting our planet. This really sucks. End of presentation. Like, we need to do something about it. And that was it. And I was like, what? I was completely confused. Like, it was the end of the presentation. He goes, there you go. Global warming, big problem. There you go. And I was like, did I miss something? I went in and I looked for the bonuses. I'm like, well, did I miss something on the DVD? I go back in and look at the menu and I'm like, what does Al Gore actually suggest we do? And I couldn't find anything. I went on the Google. did a search, and I'm like, what does Al Gore suggest we do? And I learned that he said you should use fluorescent light bulbs and you should drive a Prius. And I was like, you know what? Screw you, Al Gore. That is not helping me, man. That does not me making a difference. That I just was pissed off. Most people don't get strategic first. Get strategic about your message in your book, and remember that your book is the beginning. It's the first step. I have this great video that I do when I tell people how to write a great book fast. And I just say the strategy is step one. But who goes to the Great Pyramids or to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and you go to see the pyramids, and you're going to go climb up them, and you climb to the first step? Ha ha! Look at me! I am step one. No, your book is the beginning. It's the foundation. So you got to have a vision beyond it. That's all I challenge you to do in strategy first, and sell a course, a program, a consulting. Just know that your book is going to be the gateway and the ticket into your world to have bigger, massive transformation for people. Get clarity around that first, and it doesn't have to take a long time. You just need to have the awareness that there needs to be something more. Like, just give them a chance to do a coaching call with you. You know, say, hey, if you like this book and you want more, book a call with me. You have a button on your website. You should have that. Just understand that that's what the book is for. It's to tempt their taste with nuts and honey. I don't know. There was this nuts and honey commercial. I don't remember what it is now. But tempt their tummy with the taste of nuts and honey. It's bait. It's to get them. It's hook. Hook them in. That's your strategic plan. So step 1, 2, 3, do not begin with your story first about how you were a poor black kid and grow up, yada, yada, and you had to walk uphill in the snow both ways. You don't start there. You get strategic first. Then you build the structure of your story of your book, which, quite frankly, if you're going to tell a good story, it typically takes people from the beginning through a hardship and then to the end. So meet your client, meet your reader where they are, and have your book share a vision and a mission and give them a path, and create the outline second. So it's strategy first, structure second. You can get this done really quickly. On today's call, you probably got clarity, on today's podcast, probably got clarity that you need to have a vision beyond your book. There you go. You now know. You need to sell something behind it. You need to at least get them to come to your website. Now you know, hey, the book is trying to get that. Okay, great. Now I need a structure. What am I going to teach? What am I going to share? Now I have a structure. That's your outline. And now you sprinkle in your stories that actually frame your content and give it meaning behind it. So that's strategy, structure, story. That's the first 3 steps out of 7 to get your book written fast. Any questions about that? Because I don't want to just rant with that if I'm being confusing at all, or anything you need to clarify.
No, I mean, I think one thing we can clarify, though, and I mean, I feel like I picked up everything you said. When we're talking about, strategy, we're talking about, all right, what are all the other things that could potentially spin off of this or benefit from this, or we could sell from this? So think through, okay, who's this for? Obviously, if you're, in a business, you're going to be thinking, okay, I'm going to be writing a book, and I have my audience, and I'm email marketing, automation, I have a lot of those products to sell. So, okay, I'm going to write something around. So, okay, and then from there, okay, how will else I make money here? What else can we sell, and for whom? And is this going to align with that? Is my story, is my book, is where I go down the road, you got to basically set that, and then I assume, the structure and the story all will tie back to that. Am I hearing that correctly?
So yeah, you're making a really intelligent question here, because I'm saying a lot, and I would love to go to the next steps in the system, but you're bringing me back to, hold on, someone might be confused about step 1, and that is the strategic plan. So and I want to give everybody right now 4 questions you can ask to get clarity around the cover of your book and the title of your book. Because that really frames the whole thing. And you brought up the who and the what and the why. That's what you just said to a certain degree. What's the strategic plan? So these 4 questions are the key of what you want to ask and answer for your cover of your book. So when people first start working with me, I ask these questions around their marketing and their branding and their book. And when you think of it as a book, these things totally make sense. So the questions are, these 4 questions are who, what, why, what's next? Who, what, why, and what's next? And if you look at a book, let's use the 4-Hour Workweek is one that I like to use. It answers all of these questions in the title. I'm going to prove it to you. So here's your example. The first thing you said, brother, was if people have a business, they probably have clients that they want to sell. So you probably want to target an audience for your book, right? If you're Christian or you're Jewish or you like to speak with four-letter words or whatever it is, that your audience is going to, your audience, even J.K. Rowling wrote a book for kids. It just so happened that it appealed to a bigger audience. Most people fail at step number one, that they don't craft a marketing message or their book towards an audience of who is supposed to read this. So check this out. A 4-hour work week. Here's my question for you. Who is that book for? Just brainstorm with me real quickly. Imagine you haven't read the book.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be the busy business owner, or or it could be, somebody who could be a full-time, stay-at-home mom that wants to start a side business. It could be for all kinds of people that feel like they don't have the time, and or people who are wanting something, a full abundant life that doesn't include working 70 hours a week, So, I would think it'd be for the business person or somebody looking to start up a side business.
Awesome. So I would agree. And depending on where you're coming from with whoever is answering that question, you may have a different takeaway. Like if most people don't run their own business. I would like to think they do or want to, but not most people. Most people are bus drivers. Most people have jobs. Most people work for someone else. So let's look at the subtitle of this book. It's called The 4-Hour Work Week. And like you said, it probably is for people that are business owners that are working a ton or want to, and they're like, wow, maybe I could have that, right? It's for probably positive people who think that it's not for negative, skeptical people that don't think that they call complete bullshit on it. It's for the people who think that they can, right? Pretty obvious. Now let's look at the subtitle. I have this from memory. I think he says it's Escape the 9 to 5. Escape the 9 to 5. Who works a 9 to 5?
98% of the world.
People with a job. And then how about the business owners? They work even more. So hold on. Who is this book for again? This book is for people who are in North America that work 9 to 5. And for those people who, let's look at the rest of the subtitle. It says, Escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere. That is a result. So let's go who, what, why. So who is this book for? We just identified that this is probably for business owners, probably positive business owners that think they don't call bullshit on the title. We have maybe it's for stay-at-home moms. Maybe it's for people who have jobs and wish they didn't have to. And then it says that live anywhere, who have a desire to live anywhere. What is it about? Well, the book is about maybe working a 4-hour work week. It's pretty obvious what the book is about. It's like, well, and it kind of suggests that those people will work more, might want to be interested in this book. So it's who and the what has been defined in the title so far. Who and the what and the why. Why would anybody care to read this book right now? This is awesome branding and marketing questions for people who are in business to just make sure that your marketing meets these certain criteria. Why does it matter? The reason why people will click on your link on your website or come to you is they have problems that they want solved or results that they want delivered. Why has 2 parts, problems and results. So let's look at the subtitle of the 4-Hour Work Week again. Escape the 9 to 5. Is that a problem or result?
It's a result. Well, and a problem.
It's both.
It's both.
Do you want to escape from a phenomenal marriage and a relationship that is like the most passionate? No, you want to escape from jail, man. It suggests, that a 9 to 5 is jail, even in the word escape. It addresses the problem and it promises a result of you can escape it. How about live anywhere? Is that a problem or result?
That's a result.
And the opposite is the problem. What is the problem? Most people are stuck in traffic, probably listening to this right now. They're like, they wish they could live anywhere, but they can't move wherever they want because they have to live near their job or wherever the hell. And then the final one is join the new rich. Problem or result? Result, what's the opposite of that result? The problem. They're like, there was a new rich? Who's the new rich? It creates curiosity. Who, what, why are the first 3 questions that are asked and answered in that title. So if you want to go ahead and get clarity, around your strategic plan and the cover of your book, just get clear. Who do you want this? Who are you writing for? And then this is now more about your audience than it is you and your story, because really you are irrelevant. Nobody gives a crap about you. They care about the person that's staring back at them when they brush their teeth in the morning. They like that person. That's the person they care about most. So now you're writing for that person. And then what goes in your book isn't about what you think is cute and what you think sounds good. It's what they need to hear. And you need to make sure you communicate in their language. And then you talk about what they want and why they want it. And it solves problems and results. And you put that in your title and subtitle, and boom, you have something that solves problems and delivers results. And it almost immediately meets criteria number 4, if you have any kind of clarity with your message and your offer beyond it, is what's next. What next, ladies and gentlemen, is you want them to consume your stuff. You want them to give you a phone call. You want them to jump on your website. You want them to do something. You want them to download your books. Have a call to action. Have your website on there. I have a client of mine that worked with a traditional publisher. It took him 2 years to get his book out. He does not own his content any longer. He could not pick the cover. He had to pitch this to them. He was all proud of it, of the fact that someone had paid him to write his book. You don't have to do that anymore. And they paid him a whopping $1,500. And in 2 years, he wasn't sure when it was going to come out because it's not within his control. He did not even have his website in the book. And he was so scared of communicating when this book was going to be coming out, he wasn't telling the world about it. And he is a consultant, and he wanted to go ahead and use this book as a branding tool to establish his authority. He wasn't telling anybody about it. I gave everybody else a jump start today. Tell the world today you're publishing a book, and you're modeling a multi-billion-dollar strategy in marketing, and then you get strategic about the who, what, why, and what's next. Just cover that real fast. And now you structure your content in such a way that that solves those problems and delivers results. And then you sprinkle all your amazing stories in to capture people's attention. Because when I told the story about suicide and lightning and bankruptcy and all that stuff, that vulnerability, that fear, me sharing that stuff, helps me build a relationship of trust with my audience, potentially if they don't call bullshit and they don't like the masturbation thing. Right? So that's my audience. My audience is going to be one that doesn't call baloney on me and think that sucks. But that's because that's the brand that I'm representing, but it has everything to do with the who, what, why, what's next. Does that help with the strategic plan there and answer a question about
I really think it does. I really think it does. I think what we need to do today, Trevor, let's go ahead and finish going through your final steps for actually writing the book. Mm-hmm. And then I'd like to follow up with a part 2 about marketing and monetizing. We're just kind of getting close to the top of the hour, and I can't let this go without talking about all that.
I get it. You're like, man, shut up. Just
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. This happens often. We get going on something, and there's just more to talk about. But we also don't have the longest attention spans anymore. So, right? So, yeah, let's just tie up the last few steps you have on the writing. You talked about, your strategy, then structure, then story, and then I believe did you touch on? You said,
I'll do the last. There's 4 more steps to this real fast. So here's what you do. Set a date. No, step number 4 is set a date that this book comes out. This is what Steve Jobs was really good at with Apple. He would set a date that his product would be shipped. Seth Godin talks about this a lot when he teaches marketing, and he's a very phenomenal speaker, number 1 New York Times bestselling author, and he stole this from Steve Jobs. Set a date. What's the shipping date that this book is going to get done? See, I don't advise that you do that at step 1. I said step 1, 2, 3 was get clear about your strategy, structure, story. And then you set a date, and now you're hooked. I typically have my clients pre-sell their books, and then that sets the date. And then it gives them 90 days to get their book done. You can do that with Amazon. That's kind of a cool strategy, and will help people become number 1 best-selling authors. Listen to me. Before you write your book. Mm-hmm. Before you write your book. You can set a date, and you do that. You're on Amazon. You partner with them. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a free thing if you understand the logistics of how to do this. But you partner with them, and you say, hey, here's my book. Here's the cover. Here's the description. And then you set a date. And they say, great, you can sell it now, and you don't need a website, you don't need a button, you don't need credit card processing, you just need to now tell everybody to go buy the book, and now you can test it in your marketing, and you can get a whole bunch of people to buy it, and you can become a number 1 bestseller, but it sets a date. That book is due now in 90 days. That's what they give you. From the day that you launch the book with Amazon, they give you 90 days. Now the last 3 steps are really easy. There's only 3 ways you can get your content out. and it's speak, scribe, source. And I like to use all three in that order. Speak first, scribe second, source next. And I do this almost every day. I have a podcast, my Greatness Quest podcast I now do as a daily mentoring with Trevor Crane on the Greatness Quest. You can go to greatnessquest.com and check that out. But that's actually launching here real soon, probably by the time this airs. But I speak every day into there for 10 minutes. And then I have that immediately transcribed, and then I source it and have somebody else help me edit it and format it. That's how you get this done fast. Most of my clients get their book done in 30 days or less. They do a lot of marketing and promotion and stuff, and they get clear about their strategy, and they make money, and they do all this cool stuff in marketing. And I gave everybody the first step of marketing today, which is making your declaration. It's the most powerful one. And I gave you another step of marketing is that once you set a date and decide with Amazon that you can publish your book, you call that's another launch strategy, and it's a pre-launch, which is a marketing message. As you can tell the world, hey, everybody, my book is available on Thursday. Go buy it. I'll lower the price to $1 on that day. That's a marketing message. And basically, my marketing advice when we do this next one is going to be that you document and demonstrate results for your writing process. My clients, and my advice to you is to tell the world to declare today that you're writing a book, and then you'll document your process by interacting with your audience. And that's about as much as I'm going to give on marketing today. I go into this in a lot more depth in my marketing, my mentoring courses, and all that stuff, but I'd be glad to do another episode where we jump into it. But the 7 steps to write your book fast in 90 days or less, or in 30 days, or whatever the deal is, you can do it really, really quickly. If you get a strategic plan first, you create the structure for your book second, you then sprinkle in the stories that make sense, that move people, you set a date to get this sucker done, and then instead of sitting down at your desk like Ernest Hemingway with a pencil and writing, I challenge you to speak your story out loud to people, to record it using any electronic device you want. You have it transcribed. I use a service that costs $1 a minute to transcribe my stuff. And then instead of me just needing to figure out all the editing and formatting and design on that, I source some help. I hire some people. Yes, I suggest you hire someone, even if you give them $100, to help you edit your content and make sure that it frickin' sings. So when you put your book out, it changes people's world. Instead of it being something that looks like you did it all on your own. You know, J.K. Rowling doesn't write her books alone. All the authors you know of that you think are awesome, I could list a lot more, but I don't want to based on time. They don't write alone. It's completely baloney. There are no self-made millionaires. That's not how it works. You get a team of people to help you build your house. You had to build it all yourself, and then you're screwed. You're going to take you a long time to get that house done.
But I'm so glad you're touching on that because it is daunting. It is overwhelming, and I think you just lowered those barriers like 100-fold, because now I go, I'm not a writer, but I have a lot to say. Well, great. Just say it.
Say it.
Just say it. Most all books are ghostwritten, or most biographies are definitely ghostwritten, and they're fascinating and they're amazing. And they come from the heart of the original person that's doing them all, but they don't have to be literary geniuses or even know proper grammar like I don't.
Dude, my daughter wrote her first book when she was 7.
Yeah.
She became a best-selling author on her 8th birthday. She's now 10 and she has 9 best-selling books, and she still spells horribly. And it's okay. She has an editor, and that's her father that kind of helps her with this. And then we have she's 9 books, dude, and she's working on her 10th right now. So she's going to be a 10-time best-selling author here real soon with her message. So if you don't have to do it alone, it just makes it really easy. Have an editor do that stuff. I don't know how to dot I's, cross T's, man. Me and punctuation don't go together, man. Me big caveman, hard to get message across. Know how to do that. Why on earth would you do it? You hire a plumber to do plumbing, an electrician to do electrical work, and a roofer to do roofs, man.
You're speaking my language.
Oil in their car. It's not like any of this is brain surgery. It's just that's not your expertise, and you don't have all the tools or experience.
All right, man. Well, we'll end on that note for now in this part 1. And, next time we will get into marketing, deep dive into the marketing and the monetization part. But I think we've really gotten people off to, anybody who is potentially considering this, I think we've kind of given them a good framework and potentially saved them for a bunch of wasted time in addition. So really appreciate your time today and really looking forward to part 2.
Me too, brother. And by the way, if anybody's still listening, you weren't left hanging. You have a marketing strategy, and it was declare that you're writing a book, and you have a monetization strategy, and that is sell something beyond it. I gave the example of Tesla. Sell something. You've got a product or service right now, just make it. A course, a coaching program, or whatever it is. And I can't wait to talk to you on number 2.
All right, awesome. And before we'll ask again later, but again, how can people continue to learn from you?
You can go get any of my books. Go to trevorcrane.com, and I list all my stuff there. You can go to epicauthor.com, and I have a training that takes you from blank page to bestseller, 90 days or less. You'll see all kinds of cool stuff, so Google me, whatever, and I'd love to support you. I do a free call with people if they go through my program, or excuse me, not my program, my webinar, and then I'll talk to you turkey about your book, and not blow smoke up your skirt, but I'll help you create a plan to actually publish or make it happen.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Trevor. Till next time, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the latest podcast. Feel free to go to magnificent.com/blog to see the show notes for this interview, as well as those from many other of the world's top marketing experts. Have a great day.